Over the past year or two, the faculty in our construction management program have been asked by our college administration to better define what scholarship in the construction management discipline looks like. Our program has traditionally looked at the journal sponsored by the Associated Schools of Construction, that is the IJCER, as a target venue for publication, but we have not been readily able to show scholarly impact. One set of comparative metrics our dean has asked us to look at reflects these two simple questions. Who are your peers, and what are they doing? That conversation has ultimately led us to begin a quest to better define what is happening within construction management related scholarship. My name is Clifton Farnsworth. The purpose of this presentation is to share our efforts in better understanding the relative impact that the IJCER has on ASC institutions. Obviously, I only have time to hit on a few key points, so I would encourage you to refer to the paper for additional details. If you have further questions regarding this or the paper, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to further this conversation with you. The purpose of this research was to begin to explore and define the relative impact of scholarship that is occurring within the IJCER. This included two principal goals. First, to gain a better understanding of academic impact metrics and identify the IJCER's current state of impact, and second, exploring the publication statistics of the IJCER to comparatively analyze the contributing authors and institutions, as well as international and collaborative efforts. It is hoped that these trends can ultimately be used by the ASC and its member institutions to guide meaningful scholarship efforts within the construction management research community at large. A quantitative approach was utilized in this research to analyze publication data gathered from the IJCER website. The Associated Schools of Construction is an organization of approximately 150 construction-related programs from higher education institutions that promotes the sharing of ideas and knowledge and inspires, guides, and promotes excellence in curricula, teaching, research, and service. It is readily apparent that one of the purposes of the ASC is to support the scholarship endeavors of its member institutions and the construction discipline in general. One of the ways that the ASC specifically promotes quality construction-related scholarship is by sponsoring a peer-reviewed academic journal. The IJCER defines itself as a respected international refereed journal that publishes original works addressing cutting-edge global issues in construction. Note, to be an international journal can presumably be interpreted as being a journal that both publishes work from around the world, as well as produces published work that is utilized by individuals and institutions around the world. Therefore, another key purpose of this paper is exploring the level of international and other collaborative efforts within IJCER publications. Although sometimes controversial, impact factors continue to be used by institutions as a gauge of scholarly impact. Because the IJCER is still relatively new in establishing a scholarly footprint, the IJCER does not currently have a journal citation reports or a JCR impact factor, the most established impact factor utilized. In the interim, however, other common online metrics can serve as an indicator of the increasing quality of the IJCER. For example, this image shows two readily available indicators developed from the Scopus database. The SJR indicator is a measure of scientific influence that accounts for the number of citations received by a journal and the prestige of the journals where the citations come from. The current SJR indicator ranks the IJCER within the second quartile of all building and construction related journals, up only recently from the third and fourth quartiles where the IJCER has historically resided. The citations per document indicator shows the average number of times documents published within the past 2 years have been cited within the current year, and is an approximate equivalent to the JCR impact factor. Although this research didn't attempt to tackle a comparison with other disciplinary similar academic journals, of particular note is the relative increasing trend of these measures of impact. One of the key elements of this research was exploring who publishes in the IJCER and identifying where they are from. The purpose of this part of the analysis was to investigate the breadth of the community of scholars publishing in the IJCER. As of September 1st, 2019, the IJCER had published a total of 260 unique manuscripts, all of which were used in this analysis. These manuscripts included a total of 479 unique authors. Nearly one-fourth of the authors included an affiliation with institutions residing outside of the U.S. This was the first data point from this research that really helped to validate the international nature of the IJCER. The figure shown demonstrates the breakdown of the number of papers associated with each author. For example, 2.7% of the contributing authors have published 5 or more papers, while 78.5% of the authors have only been associated with a single paper. This figure provides 2 key conclusions. First, many individuals have been able to publish within the IJCER, an indicator of the large community of scholars using the IJCER as a publication venue. And second, just over 100 different authors have been involved with multiple IJCER publications. This seems to indicate that publishing in the IJCER is providing value for a reasonably sized community of scholars because they choose to come back. As far as institutions are concerned, a total of 158 different institutions were associated with IJCER manuscripts. This table shows the highest number of papers associated with contributing institutions. For example, Colorado State University has been associated with 40 different IJCER manuscripts since the IJCER began in 2004. This table also shows that the highest publishing institutions generally have a significant research expectation, as indicated by the Carnegie Research Designation, R1 or R2, shown in the table. It should not be presumed that any university not appearing at the top of this list is not performing research. Rather, this list simply represents those institutions that are publishing the most in the IJCER. This table shows a further delineation of the types of institutions that were associated with IJCER publications. First, as expected, the majority of the 158 contributing institutions were made up of academic institutions, the remainder with government, research, or private industry organizations. Second, the number of contributing U.S. academic institutions at 74 was not all that far ahead of the contributing non-U.S. based academic institutions of 52. It should be noted that although the majority of the U.S. based academic institutions are members of the ASC, there were significantly more contributing non-U.S. based academic institutions than international-based ASC member institutions. This means that the reach of the IJCER is broader than the boundaries of the ASC, and that it truly is an international publication. A total of 22 different countries were represented in the publication affiliation information. Although this list of affiliated countries supports the international nature of the IJCER, it further appears that there is yet significant room to grow the international presence of the IJCER. Another element explored in this research was the collaborative nature of the research being submitted for publication in the IJCER, including international collaboration. This table shows that of the 260 unique manuscripts published, 110 of those papers included some form of collaborative effort. The table also shows that 58 papers included at least one author affiliated with an institution outside of the U.S., and 44 of the published papers were authored strictly by authors outside of the U.S. Finally, 21 papers included some element of international collaboration. That is, at least 2 of the authors were affiliated with institutions residing in different countries. These numbers further validate the international nature of the IJCER. Collaboration is inherently important because it has the potential to provide an additional layer of self-supported peer review, thus generally leading to a higher quality of research performed. And promoting an increase of this latter statistic also seems like an area that the ASC can promote. Supporting the production of the IJCER is an essential service provided by the Associated Schools of Construction. One of the challenges the IJCER continues to face is establishing itself as a high-quality, high-impactful publication. This paper has explored some of the factors that contribute to establishing academic impact. Although academic impact tends to be measured directly through citation counts, the factors explored in this research indirectly contribute to establishing the IJCER as a viable publication venue within the construction management research community at large. In summary, the IJCER is trending upward with regard to traditional scholarly impact metrics. The IJCER has been a publishing resource for a large number of different authors and institutions. International and collaborative efforts have been strongly represented and continue to be one of the strengths of the journal. The international presence seems to help validate the importance of the journal in construction-related research. Ultimately, this research has identified the breadth of impact the ASC is providing its membership by sponsoring an academic peer-reviewed journal.